renovations was begun in the 1850s, but was postponed because of the Civil War. At one point, however, a small group of Greenfield citizens grew tired of waiting on the legal system and took it upon themselves to move the courthouse. They rode to Fontenelle in the dead of night, loaded furniture and county records into wagons, and removed them to Greenfield. The sheriff arrived the next day with a court order to return the goods to Fontenelle. But in the fray, he lost the orders, so had to retreat and try again. Finally, 3 days later, the adjutant general arrived on the scene and ordered the return of all county records to Fontenelle until the legal technicalities could be settled. The movement was pursued again after the war, but it would take 3 public votes and a decision by the Iowa Supreme Court to accomplish the task. The final and legal transfer of the county seat took place on June 24th, 1875. The original courthouse was built on the east side of the square, which was to become the E. Warren Opera House. So the original courthouse was in this spot. The expanding town was struck by tragedy in 1883 when fire broke out in the back of the J.W. Valentine's Bakery. Did you just notice something? Oh, different Valentine. Was he the same one that was the engineer that drew the plans for the square? But no. On the south section of the east side of the square. The fire was discovered about 5 a.m. An alarm was sounded, but Greenfield at that time had no organization, equipment, or facilities to battle the fire. The fire soon spread to the stable behind the bakery, the north to the meat market, the barber shop, the land office, and the courthouse. At the same time, it leapt across the alley south to the stable of the Methodist parsonage, and then it moved westward, threatening another entire quarter block of the Greenfield businesses. After the fire, the town rebuilt a hinge shed. Frame courthouse was erected on this burned out side of the courthouse above the surviving underground vault. The community voted to replace the lost courthouse on November 1890, and the courthouse building was completed in the courthouse square in 1892. Mr. Warren was able to purchase the former courthouse property in May of 1892, once it was vacated by the county. But it was probably the difficult economic times prevented him from doing anything with the property for the next 4 years. It's a little bit about Ed and Eva. Ed Ernest Warren was born in New London, Henry County, Iowa, on March 31st, 1862. He was educated in the private New London Academy. He moved to Greenfield in October of 1879 as was employed by A.P. Stevens and Company for 2 years. He was then moved that company's Preston store for the next 2 years. In 1883, he returned to Greenfield as a partner with the firm under the new title Fuller, Warren and Company. About 1886, along with his brother F.C. Warren, the two men purchased the company, and it was retitled Warren Brothers Company. In 1889, Edward Warren became the sole company owner. The firm was located in the Daniel Keaton's block on the east section of the north side of the square. Ed Warren was married in 1884 to Miss Eva Mary Veers of Fontenelle, who was born in Washington, Iowa in 1863. Ed died in Los Angeles in 1947 and Eva in 1952. According to the Adair County Democrat newspaper in 1895, E. Warren has decided to build a double storeroom on the 2 lots on the east side of the square, formerly occupied by the old courthouse. Warren initially planned to start work on the building in late 1895 and even ordered the brick, but was decided not to lay the foundation on the new store until next spring. Last week he made a contract with the Fontenelle Yard for brick. The quality submitted to him is of good size, hardness, and color. The first installation of brick was placed on the building site in mid-December, absent any excavation. Mr. Warren built his new store and opera house in 1896 in company with John J. Hetherington, and Hetherington was born in Pennsylvania in 1842. The E.E. Warren building, consisting of double storerooms on the first floor and opera house in the second story. The basement will extend under the entire building and be 9 feet in depth. The entrance to the double storerooms of E.E. Warren will be in the center. The storerooms will be 80 feet by 44 feet, divided in the center by iron columns. On the east side of the building, fronting the north, will be an independent storeroom which was initially occupied by the Caldwell Sisters Millinery Shop. The entrance to the Opera House will be between Mr. Warren and Mr. Hetherington's building and be reached by a stairway 5 feet wide. The stairway will lead to the 3 suites in the rooms in front and second story, as well as the Opera House. The seating capacity of the Opera House will be 500, which is really funny because now it's 200, so they must have been really small people. And it can be increased when conditions demand it. At the back of the stage will be double doors to which can be attached a crane for raising and lowering luggage to and from the stage. The entire building will be heated throughout with steam, and it also was electricity. The Hetherington building, which is the building next door, which was Mather Drug, which most of you will remember as. So Hetherington building was a 2-story brick building of John Hetherington, will be the same height as Mr. Warren's and correspond in every way with the front of Mr. Warren's building. There will be a basement under the entire building, and the second story will contain rooms and will be fitted up for either offices or living rooms. The grand opening for the retail space took place December 1st, 1896, and after roughly 8 months of construction. 2 weeks later, the first performance was presented on the Opera House stage, and it was postponed because the chairs had not been delivered. Warren's new building for the first time gave him his own store building when he later resided in the building's apartments, which he did not do immediately. As of the 1900s, the couple lived in the Daniel Eaton's buildings along with the Warren's business, and he vacated the Eaton Walk. In the early years, the Opera House hosted traveling theatrical troupes, medicine shows, musical productions, and local theater. Mrs. Warren was a staunch supporter of the arts and an accomplished musician in her own right. The northwest corner room of the 3rd floor was her music room, and it was said that she would warm up the summer evenings. The citizens of Greenfield could be graced with the sounds of her singing, resounding from the open windows in the turret. And in the 1900 census, it listed her as a music teacher. In 1903, the Auditorium was selected as a distribution center for one of the orphan trains. The New York Children's Aid Society screened the orphans up front to select only the well-meaning and willing boys and girls, and required only that the children be clothed, schooled, and otherwise retained until age 18. The local sponsoring committee included Ed Warren and others of Greenfield. In 1910, Warren sold his business but retained ownership of the building and spent the next 3 years managing and overseeing lands that he owned in the Dakotas and in Canada. He then returned in 1913, and he repurchased his former operation along with his brother and was entitled Warren Dry Goods Company. In 1920, the Warrens were back in their own building, with Eva working as the company's bookkeeper. Through the conclusion of World War I, the Opera House Auditorium saw occasional use of community events, other live stage events, and motion pictures. The construction of a movie house in town in 1928 put an end to showing motion pictures in the theater, and in 1930, and the last years of documentation of any live performances here. Dances for young people in the area were also popular during the time. Many older couples in the area can trace their romantic beginnings to the Opera House. Other documented uses were basketball games, cockfights, boxing matches, and graduations. A unique feature of the Opera House on its second and third floor apartment with pocket doors, parquet floors, and ornate stenciling, where the Warrens resided until 1922. Intermittent residents leased the apartment space. However, both the apartment and the auditorium remained vacant for about 50 years. The upper floors of the building gradually declined in usage, but the ground floor remained in use as retail space until 1991. Around 1922, the Warrens moved to Los Angeles, California, after which time the main floor of the Opera House building served as a grocery store and a furniture store until 1926, when the Golden Rule department store opened as a new business. Mrs. Warren sold the building in 1948 after Mr. Warren passed away. In 1969, Norman Lear produced the movie Cold Turkey was filmed in Greenfield. The Opera House, draped with flags and banners, was a prominent feature in the film. The turret cupola was temporarily outfitted with the town clock for the movie's final scene. The retail space continued the clothing store until 1991. Other businesses in this building, the basement of the Opera House had an outside stairway, and there at some point was a tea room, beauty parlor, ice cream parlor, wallpaper and paint store, rug department, archery range, and a duck pin alley. The Hetherington building saw use as a drugstore its entire life until basically we took the building over in 2008. There's a dentist office and apartment rentals on the second floor, and a shaving parlor in the basement. The third building of the Warren Cultural Center complex is the Taylor Building. It was erected in 1932 by Mr. Taylor, and it housed a tavern. And in 1972, Dwight Fry, the local pharmacist, purchased the building and integrated it as part of his pharmacy with the Hetherington Building. In 1996, local resident Bonnie Schoberg purchased the building and gifted it to Main Street Greenfield. Main Street Greenfield with the mission of preserving the historic fabric and promoting economic development of Greenfield's Town Square. And in 2001, the E.E. Warren Opera House Association formed a 501c3 nonprofit corporation with the sole purpose of restoring the Opera House building and developing it into a cultural center serving Southwest Iowa. The Warren Cultural Center opened in the spring of 2012 after a year of restoration construction.
Thank you, Nancy. Okay, we're going to open up the next PowerPoint, and I'd like to introduce our team. So come on up, guys. give them a hand here. Okay, so Jay, you're going to introduce yourself, right?
Yes. Hey guys. So I am the founder of SIPS. We were founded in 21, and I am Dave Anderson here. This is Floyd, Rim, and Amber. So how many people actually believe in the paranormal? Raise your hand. Has anybody had any experiences? If so, you can raise your hand. It's a fair amount. So these are all the locations that we have been to. A total of 11 locations across the state. We do businesses and private residents. So when it comes to paranormal equipment, what do you think of? Ghostbusters? As you can see, in front here is some of the things that we use for this investigation. The REM pod is basically a fancy motion detector, and something has to get close to it and then it will light up, as you can see in the picture right there. This is actually a thermal cam. This was an image that I caught in Center Point, Iowa at my grandmother's house. And as you can see on the left side, you can see a person type of thing just peeking over around the corner. Spirit box is one of our favorites. We get a lot of cool things. It's basically a fancy radio, and it goes really fast through these random radio stations, and it just picks up random words. And sometimes it's just words from the radio, but sometimes it can actually mean something. And laser grid is one of our favorites. We use it to catch shadows or movement across the ceiling or something like that, or the wall. It just helps us to visualize the paranormal differently. And this is one of my favorite gadgets, called an SLS camera. It's basically an Xbox 360 Kinect camera, and it maps out people or whatever it's supposed to be, even pets if you want to go that far. And how do we organize our investigations? Well, we have a base, and we have multiple cords that could be definitely a trip hazard sometimes if you're not careful.
Yeah, this one was fun. I would like to preference, I'm not a mean person. This just looks like a really mean mug in the face.
Yeah. And more cords, a lot of cords.
So typically our base is going to be where we feel like there is no activity.
Yes.
So that we're not missing anything.
Yes. And you were also talking about, we pick the hot spots. So if there's been reported sightings, we put the cameras there. But sometimes we even just go with the flow, or we go with our first gut feeling. And usually, most of the time, our gut feeling is correct. So before I start, I guess the first part we started here at the auditorium. What we like to do is, you want to explain what trigger objects are and
Yeah,
what?
of course. Trigger objects. Psychologically speaking, anything that's going to help produce memories. So any of your senses, your like sight, sound, smell, those are going to be trigger objects. I decided to go with music. I just looked up on YouTube different music that they would have played, like opera music they would have played in the like late 1800s, early 1900s.
touch it, let it go, touch it, let it go. So what is your first letter of your name? All you need to do is where the green box is, touch it and let it go. B. Okay. D. So who wants to go under? So this is interesting. Funeral is pretty important here. If I am correct, Nancy, was there a funeral of one of the brothers?
Yeah, Mrs. Warren's brother's funeral was here.
So that was pretty cool on that part. So let's describe what is going on here. Anybody, you guys want to explain what going under is?
Yeah, so going under, at least the way that I do it.
Yes.
I like to kind of like deprive myself of my senses. So I wear a sleeping mask, and then we hook up
The spirit box.
to the spirit box. It's like noise canceling headphones, so I can't hear like anything at all. And then I have Jane or Floyd or Ray. They're going to be as far away from me as they can get, and they're going to ask me questions. And then the spirit, through the spirit box, will respond to those questions.
Yes, and that's, they also, she cannot hear the questions. So, because if she does hear the questions, it is you psychologically, power of suggestion, it is such a big thing. So she can't hear it. So everything is fresh. And just saying on the upcoming videos is whatever comes out of the spirit box, she can't control it. So.
They were little potty mouths.
Yes,
Just so you
yes,
guys know.
exactly. So, going under. So this was, we went up here, we did the auditorium, we decided, okay, so let's go back to the turret room, which is upstairs. And actually, that's where the Warrens were, correct? You had to stay up there?
Before you start that. So if you notice, she's not wearing the blindfold in this one. It's because she was in that turret section, and then there were curtains right there that we just closed. So the whole point of going under is we do our very best to isolate whoever is connected to the spirit box, and then we're normally in a completely different room altogether. And we ask any spirits that are around questions, which then come through the spirit box, that Amber will repeat back to us so that we can hear it.
Hey!
How do you pass? If your name is Isaac, you say yes or no. Will you strangle?
Stay out!
No, I'm gonna come in.
The spirit will.
How did you pass?
30.
Are you 30 years old, Isaac?
Emergency.
What was the emergency? The fire?
Early.
Was the fire early in the morning?
Indeed. Shy. Mirror.
Mirror? What time was the fire?
You're here. Team members. Killed. Now, stop looking at that phone.
Oh shit.
Are you attacked?
I'm trapped.
Oh no.
Nice. That's not cool.
15.
You're 15? 15 what?
I've been here for quite some time. I'm scared.
We can tell. Does the witch have you trapped? Who has you trapped?
It was for a lot.
What do you want us to do?
Looking for him.
Look for who?
It's just very interesting how everything unfolded in those natural pauses that we get. I concluded that it takes about 10 to 20 seconds on average for an entity to come through and able to communicate with the spirit box. And if you rush it like 5 seconds, sometimes it's less than 10 seconds, but otherwise you won't get good answers. The next location we went was the bathroom. You want to talk about the bathroom? About the sink?
Yes, so originally that sink that is in the back room, up on the balcony, that was downstairs, correct? That was like in between the store and
Where the store and the lobby is.
The store and the
It's
lobby,
just a
yes.
little hallway.
And I remember having to use that restroom when I was in dance, and I never liked using that restroom, so. I need to remember that.
Confirmed it.
What did you confirm?
20.
You like my phone?
Dead people.
Did you just say dead people?
Potheads.
Potheads.
Hotheads.
What dead people?
You ate all your pizza?
And now, that is a pretty important part because during the investigation, we had pizza here and it's kind of crazy. So how did they know?
I think the spirits kind of like to talk about themselves a bit, but maybe not reveal their true identity. And then they try to mess with us a little bit. And then they also kind of share about the events that happened here, like they talked about the fire. But they were referencing us being on our phones, yelling at us, cussing at us, talking about how they were going to eat the rest of our pizza that was still downstairs, to the point where we felt like we had to go downstairs and check and see if the pizza was still there. What?
Did
No,
you,
there's one piece left for you.
Do you want?
It's gone.
Do you want a slice of pizza?
July 4th.
What about July 4th? Was there a parade there? Outside?
Absolutely.
And Dan, were you the one that told me that there were parades out on July 4th sometimes? They would go through outside, I think you told me that.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think you did. That's fine. Cool.
Employer.
Who's in the bedroom?
She knows now.
Of course she does. Is it her in the bedroom?
Spooky.
How many of there are you? And
You're pathetic.
You're pathetic.
Apartment. Aurora. 75. Why did you leave?
We got hungry.
Face paint.
No, it's eyeliner.
Not today.
Still eyeliner.
What was that?
What was what?
The witch. And the boy.
Excuse me?
I want him.
He's not yours.
Seriously?
Yep. Why do you want the boy?
You're making me.
I'm making
That's
you...
right.
We're not making you do anything. We're just
Too
trying-
scared.
We just want to talk.
Wait a minute. Can no one help?
We've been trying to for the past hour.
How do we help?
Go away. Eye-opening. Vicious. Very cruel world. Inmate.
Court of law?
She won't. I'm a boy.
Are you the boy they want?
Remembers.
Who? What do you want with the boy?
Keep it out.
Keep what out?
Criminal case.
Which case?
You are?
Free me! In the book.
Which book? The one downstairs?
I'm gonna pause that for a second. I think the book that she was referring to is that Dan was super amazing. He let us, he showed us some original artifacts that they saved, and there were actually some original, is it ledges, right?
Yes.
Super cool. So who knows? We might find a name in there. But it's kind of interesting thought.
These iPhones are annoying.
We're trying to figure out what you're talking about.
It's too chaotic. 2 minutes.
2 minutes? What about 2 minutes?
We're all dead.
We'll just send all the references.
I was murdered
By who?
on the 16th.
Crazy stuff right there. I think we have one more, and this was in the basement, and we're about wrapping it up for the night. It was around 4-ish, 5. It's pretty late. Yeah, this is in the morning, not PM. So,
I was gonna say, because we started at midnight.
yes.
Comfortable.
Midway.
Midway.
Who is down here with us?
Make me idiot.
Jesus.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, you know that?
You can play this game. Come to the red light. Do you want us to leave?
Why
What
would-
is no?
You gotta work.
Why are you stalling?
Breathe, breathe.
Okay.
Maybe you need to be the ones that breathe.
Loser. My energy's draining.
No shit.
7-9.
Someone write down 79. What are the numbers for? What's that time frame?
Age.
Going somewhere.
79.
Now, are you male or female?
Every day.
So you're from the 1950s? No. Yeah. So 51.
Jesus, wait.
Are they crossing over? Are you seeing the light?
That's not a full sentence.
Are you seeing the light? Are you crossing over?
What's the rest of the sentence?
Blame me.
Any final thoughts regarding those videos?
I feel like as time went on, it got more and more aggravated, and it was telling us to get out, and it was cussing at us more often. So I think us being here was sort of agitating the spirits.
Which basement were you in? This
The main basement.
Yep, right below, yep. I believe it was down there where if you come down the stairs and then all the way on the other end of that far back room, that's where, I don't know about you guys, but that's where I saw He was like 6'2", very tall, black shadow figure who was like short, balding hair almost. And I believe that's who we were talking to, but we couldn't get a name out of him.
Yeah, some of them just didn't want to say their name in general, so.
So how many spirits do you interpret, Todd? That,
You mean at this location?
yeah.
I am under the assumption that we spoke to 3.
3 or 4. So we have Aurora, Isaac, a possible boy. You want to say Ava, you think? And the witch? Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard to really pinpoint an exact number when they don't like to give clear-cut answers.
I just wondered what your interpretation.
Yeah, it was around, our good estimate would be 3 to 4.
And then, do you want to do the demonstration of what's going on here? Are you ready for that? Yeah.
Let me set up the microphone.
And I'm going to preface this right now. She has no control of what she says, so hopefully we can say to the spirits or whatever is here, please be
Cool, you
polite.
kept it at least PG-13.
Yes, please, yeah.
So, just to clarify, Nancy, that wardrobe was not original to here,
No,
right?
no.
It was brought in during the remodel.
Just an
The
octopus.
renovation.
Yeah, we tried to do some research on that, and it came from an antique shop. Where was that? Antique shop from, was it?
Arkansas.
Arkansas, yeah.
Somewhere in Arkansas.
And unfortunately, it was so back ago, the place
A lot of the stores changed owners.
changed owners, so we couldn't be able to track it down, but
But that's still very interesting.
yeah, most definitely. You go in.
I also saw a silhouette in the basement, and it was this woman wearing a big hat. And when we talked to Dan about it, he showed us the picture of Ava Warren, and I'm fairly certain that's who I saw in the basement.
I'm going to be right behind you guys. So yes, of course it's noise canceling, but you know, I'm just gonna go
Where
far
did
back.
you put the?
You got it? And what we do for our investigations here, we call this a plasma ball. You've probably seen it if you ever been to the science center. They have one big one. But what the theory behind this is, it gives it energy. It helps them to communicate more easier. Let's see. And that's a cat ball, that's me. Hey, can we actually have the lights turned off for this? Yeah, that's okay. And can we have these upper ones off too? Yeah, perfect. Because we're trying to be quiet with sentences. This is me over here. Just do a thumbs up. You want to make sure this is okay before we start. So take a kind of pose on so she can answer. Speed okay? Is everything okay? Okay, cool. Hello. Is anyone here tonight that would like to talk to us? Are you nervous about this big crowd here?
Bring your friend.
I know we brought a lot of friends here. Do you have any friends?
Aren't you worried about COVID?
Did you like the history that was shared about you? Is Isaac here tonight?
This sucks.
Why does this suck? What can we do to make this more entertaining for you? Can you tell us more about that fire? Can you confirm that it happened around 5 in the morning? If anyone else has a question in the audience, please do one at a time, but you can ask if they have any questions that they'd like to ask the spirits tonight.
Faster.
Who are we speaking with?
Where's Floyd?
I'm right here. Did you miss me already?
No, you're not.
Where is he then?
Who's asking for me?
Who wants to come forward tonight?
Connected.
Do you like music?
Can you turn our ball back on, please?
Bye-bye.
Eva, would you sing?
Who else is speaking?
These are your friends that came here for you.
Chosen.
If you're here, do you want to entertain us by touching one of those balls on the table?
Do you recognize anyone in the audience?
Thunderstorms.
Are you the shadow figure that was seen in the basement?
Is there anything else that you'd like to say tonight?
Is the thunderstorm the grand reopening?
Yep, I'm gonna count backwards from 10. If you don't have anything else to say, when I reach 1, you are free to go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
You're alive.
want to expand on that?
Checked on it.
Would you check?
Go away.
Okay.
You're already dead.
What is your name?
How many of you were here?
You should know better.
Are you male or female? I'm gonna be counting from 5, and when I get to 1, I will.
We're all here.
Yes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you for connecting with us tonight.
Go ahead and grab her.
Yep, you want to tap her? Yeah, can we have the lights back on? Yeah. Alright. So that's how the going under works.
How does she feel? How do she feel when she goes under? What's her feeling now?
Hey, Amber, how do you feel now? Like, what do you feel? Like, when you went under, yeah, describe that process, I guess.
So, I always feel really, like, it's almost like I feel hungover. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. Like, I want to drink, like, 10 million gallons of water right now. You get really drained.
It is very exhausting. I actually have a few of our team members here that are sitting in front. Raise your hand, Stephanie. She did an investigation with me, and she also went under, and it's the most insane process. It just drains you, but the interesting thing too is we've had multiple investigations with this technique that you can actually, it's like you feel the emotion.
Yeah.
So she can't actually hear the questions that are being asked out here.
Absolutely
She
not.
just hears what's being said.
That's why we ask a lot of empty questions that we don't get answers to. How long does that hangover feeling typically last?
Typically throughout the night. Oh, I didn't even turn it off. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Like wild stuff or something.
You know, it's the first thing you did was finish your water bottle.
Yeah. I'm just gonna go home and cuddle with my cat.
And then here are some upcoming investigations. In Janesville, going to be another follow-up investigation.
Shameless plug.
Yes, shameless plug, yes. Perry, and then just somewhere in Des Moines. Here are our social medias, so if you guys want to follow us, that'd be Awesome. We will also be uploading this evidence to our YouTube channel, so you will also see it in full with sound.
See it and hear it.
Yes, see it and hear
At the
it.
same time.
Yes.
In the comfort of your home.
Yes. And I just want to say thank you for coming out tonight. It was really cool to see everybody, and thank you to Greenfield.
Thank you to the Opera House
Yes.
for letting us, like, giving us full access. Like, we even went up into the attic, checked some stuff out. Like, that was really, really
Insane.
Does anyone have any closing questions or remarks?
Yeah, a couple of things actually. First of all, I love it if you could demonstrate some of the things when you're done.
Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, most definitely. If you guys are interested and want to stick around, you guys can come up here and we'll definitely show you some stuff.
The other thing is I wondered more about that stick figure thing. I saw a picture of it, but can you show us that, describe that a little bit, how that actually works?
Yeah, it's basically an Xbox Connect 360. On our YouTube page, we have several videos of that, but it's basically, it maps out a person. That's how the machine works algorithm-wise, but the theory behind that is you can also pick up entities and they look like a person, and then when nobody's there.
Typically, the way that we use it is we'll have someone go in front of it when it's on, and then we'll see that there is only that one stick figure on the screen, and then they'll be out there trying to communicate or get something riled up, and then we'll know something's there when the whole rest of the team is away from that piece of equipment, and a second stick figure shows up.
Yes.
Do any of you have any psychic abilities?
That would be me. I really don't know what you would want to call it. I've been called a shaman, I've been called a medium or a clairvoyant. Yeah, I basically just, I'm a human spirit box, I guess.
I was down in Arizona a few years back, in Winterset. Our house at that time was around 11 years old. And my daughter was staying out there while we were down there for the winter. And she called me up one night, and she said, "Do you realize that you have an orb in your house?" I said, "How do you know this?" She says, "I saw it on the security cameras on the monitor." Didn't know anything about it. Time I got home, it was not on the monitor, it was not on the security system. But about 25 days later, after we got home, our house burned down. But the monitor and the security system was saved. So I moved everything up to my warehouse, 200 yards north to the barn, and set the cameras on the outside, and also had one on in the kitchen of the barn. And I had it there for about, a couple months or so. And I went up there one morning early, and I noticed that there was some activity on one of the cameras. So I replayed it, and it was at like 12:03 in the morning, just shortly after midnight. And that orb come out of that monitor, danced around in my kitchen for about 30 to 40 seconds or so, and then tried to go back into the monitor. So I replayed it, and I have it on my phone, and I've shown that to several people, and they do not understand what it is. But I've had several incidences out there on the farm, I own 130, that I had a black lab years ago, about 3 years ago, and I was out in the barn again working, and it was a nice summer night, and the dog was going nuts on the ditch to the west of me, and I could hear and it moved up the valley closer to my barn. I grabbed the dog, we went in the house. I did this for about 2 or 3 weeks, different nights of the week. And then my wife heard it, 3 months after that. The story goes that the farm that I live on, there was two old ladies that lived to the west of us, and one has, or had, a boy that was to go to the military, to the war, when he turned 18. So the story is that she killed him, put him into the well, and never heard about him again. I found the well down in the bottom of my property. I've never done anything about it. But I'm wondering if this orb and also the noise in the valley going down to the well, if that's got anything to do with what I'm seeing on the monitor.
I have a weird question. Is the orb red?
What?
What color is the orb?
White.
White. Okay. It's very possible that it has something to do with the boy, with that story down the well. Quite often, more than not, people don't like to be killed and thrown down wells, and it might make them a little angry enough to burn something down.
Yeah. Well, there was another time Linda was just asking about, is that we were deer hunting, this is about 3-4 years ago, and at 11:30 I start heading to the barn to the kitchen to cook for the guys that are out hunting for the noon lunch. And it was probably I was coming up from the house, like I said, about 200 yards away. I was coming up from my one deer stand and coming straight out of that ditch that I heard that coming out of, there was a fella, I couldn't see his face. He had on a green coveralls, he had a hood over his head and no gun, but he walked up across that pasture and went in my west barn door into the shop. I went into the south door into the kitchen. I yelled for him, whoever it was. Never heard, never saw him again.
I think you guys need to go visit.
What was your address again?
Well, we do have a business cards out on the table right there, so we do have all our contact information, so if you want to pick one up, you know, find us. Yes.
What does this building's role as a performance venue maybe have to do with this? Can you be picking up on maybe people who are in character from a play? Or does that kind of thing factor in at all?
It could be. There's also theory that people love something so much that they don't ever want to leave the place, so they just like to reside here because they're comfortable with it. Yeah.
Why did you ask about the color of the orbs?
So in my own personal experience, blue is, oh, I might mess these words up. Blue is benevolent, red is malevolent, and green is typically like fae or like fairies.
Would you say this place is haunted in a way?
I would say that there's spirits here.
It was
but
talked to.
I wouldn't say that it's haunted. I don't see them as being necessarily malevolent. I think it's just active.
Yes.
Yeah. They haven't talked to people in a hot minute. They just want to talk.
Have you ever knew of any spirits on?
That is one of our goals.
Oh, stop over.
We'll do it.
Yeah.
Our house has been burned down. It got blown away this last March with a tornado and the barn.
I hear Florida is nice this time of year.
Question in the back.
Do you have to have any special skills to do what you guys do? Like, because you're the only medium or human spirit box right there on the right side. So do you guys have any special skills or just an interest?
I've always been fascinated with paranormal, but I also feel like my quote-unquote antenna for this kind of stuff is a little bit longer than everybody else is, so I can like kind of sense them, but not to the point where I can actually see them.
I'm just a super big empath, so I can just
feel things like a lot stronger than most people. I get sad easily. I'm like my mom. I cry over everything.
In my opinion, you 110% do not need any special gifts or abilities or anything like that. In fact, one of the best things to have on your team is a skeptic. Someone to genuinely question you and say, are you sure this is real? Like, are you sure you're not making this up? Like, it's very nice to have someone there to keep you grounded, I guess you could say.
Yes, and we have one in the audience right now that's on a team member, so raise your hand. Yep.
He's just gonna pinpoint everybody.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
How are you guys connected? Like, what made your guys' paths cross?
So me and Dane used to work together at Queck's Brew House.
And then just friends, really, because we met each other. And then that's how that happened, really.
I got thrown into a random group chat and was told that I was the medium for paranormal investigations. And now I'm on the stage.
You didn't have a choice. It chose you.
Yes. Thank you.
Did you pick up anything else in your investigation, like orbs or visual disturbances or anything?
We're not huge on believing in orbs necessarily, because it can be a little bit of...
That is a very steep topic to discuss, but however, in my belief, it has to, if you want to call it an orb, it has to be a domino effect, meaning, so if something happens, like you hear a voice or something, and then you might see an orb, potential. But if it's just standalone,
It could be a bug.
does. Yeah.
I noticed on the first video there was something that went through. So
Yes, yes.
Dust or a bug.
Yeah, we didn't mention that because it's open to interpretation.
Open to interpretation, but definitely, like, that time that I turned and looked back, that is when I felt like I was being pulled back. And I did not have a great time at that point. Any other questions?
Can you comment on, I know from looking at your videos and about you guys that you've used like saging and things like that in certain situations. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, I'll let you guys explain.
It's usually Floyd and I's job. It's just us trying to cleanse the space, and it's people that specifically ask for help with the hauntings to make it like go away because it's bothersome. Like there was someone who was getting scratched, and those are the people that report like negative effects from it. So we try to get rid of it the best we can if we can provide that service.
The idea behind saging is when you burn the sage and you do it in the specific order that you do it, it's essentially like gassing out the ghost, essentially. Almost like what an exterminator would do. It just makes them hard to be in that area. It makes them hard to exist and do what they want to do. So it makes them leave. And it's not going to keep them away permanently because the smoke will dissipate. So while they're gone, that's when you that's where you protect yourself, I guess you could say.
We also use a bell usually, and that's like a sound frequency thing that goes along with the sage. I guess sometimes we also try to reason with the spirit or entity as well to get it to leave willingly.
However, though, we don't ever force them to leave, though. If they are genuinely happy and not causing any issues, just let them be, do their thing.
Did you guys go to the hotel as well?
We have not, no, but I have
There's
heard
stories
stories, and I am very interested. Put it that way.
Any more questions? I think if that's it, you guys also can come up and ask anything about the equipment. I can show you that stuff too, so.
Thanks again for coming.
If anybody would like to help me stack the chairs, these go this way, these go that way, so they can sweep this area. Otherwise, I have to do it all myself, and I don't want to do